Good morning. Welcome to Energy Works. Today we're talking about when someone dies. So, even though you may know someone might die, you're never ready. And especially if someone dies unexpectedly, it's such a big shock. And it is hard for. Good morning, Jackie. It's hard for people to accept that, that someone dies, and it brings up all these questions about, will we see them again? I guess we become aware of our own mortality, and it's, a bit scary. Am I doing a good job with my life? Do I feel happy with my life? For some people, if the relationship with the person that died wasn't wonderful, there's always this regret that we never made peace, or the other person didn't apologize, or we didn't get to see eye to eye. And I think, it's important for us to make a little bit of peace with that and with our feelings, and to have a discussion about, our feelings and what we feel about, what's happened and how we're dealing with it. Sometimes we, you know, sometimes we don't feel like we are knowing how to deal with death, or we don't feel like we know how to process all the grief, because the grief hits us so strong. And it's I guess it never goes away, and it's just like how we learn to deal with that grief, and how we deal with where it is in our body, and how we feel about ourselves and that person is something that still has to be processed. So if we feel this grief, where do you feel it in your body? Some people feel it in their heart, some people feel it in their throat or their head or their gut. Sometimes we can feel like we've got a weight on our shoulders that we are carrying. So let's work first in our heart chakra. All right, so let's start with I open my heart to love. So sometimes we don't feel like it's safe to open our heart to love. So we can feel overlooked if we didn't feel like we had a good relationship with this person. We can feel that they didn't love us as we would like to be loved. So then I guess forgiving ourselves that I wasn't loved as I needed to be. All right, so Jackie's saying today I have pain in my lower left back and hip. Okay. All right, so the feeling that comes up first from your lower back and hip is lack of control over events. So what would you like to control? Let's also say I forgive myself that things didn't go as I wanted them to. Good morning, Elizabeth. Okay, so let's go into our base chakra now. So this is like knowing where we fit in and how we belong. All right, I release my fears and replace them with faith. So what do you fear? Good morning, Janet. So we had asked, where do you feel it in your body? Do you have grief stuck in your body? Sometimes death is like the actual death of a person, but sometimes when a relationship ends, it's like the relationship was the third person and that person dies. So like it can be in divorce or breakup, or even I guess with loss of job or loss of a friendship can feel like that. All right, my sense of what is right keeps me on my correct path. So let's say I forgive all those that didn't come on the correct path with me. All right, age 7, age 14, 18, 23, 34, 40. All right, my family or tribe has my back. Okay, so Jackie says she fears being alone and she fears abandonment. Elizabeth says, I feel my asthma. Right, okay. Okay, we'll go back to the heart chakra. It's safe to be loved. So sometimes love is intermingled with abuse. So the people that should love us may not do the right things by us or with us or to us. And so then it's hard to separate love and abuse. They're kind of intertwined. So we're going to ask to release the trauma that has been connected to the people that haven't loved us in a healthy way. So big breath in and out. All right, I am forgivable. So as a child, when these things happen, we can feel that it must be our fault that these things happen. And so we take on the blame. So hiding under the asthma is the feeling of being overlooked. So who didn't notice you? Who was unaware of you? Good morning, Lisa. Janet's mentioned still issues left shoulder and knee, recently patella, but healing well, still uneven walk and ongoing gut issues aggravated with gluten, lactose, etc. All right. So then if we have this overlooked feeling, or the only time people show us love mingled with abuse, it's very hard to feel worthy and to feel worthwhile. So, and also, Janet's talking about gut. So sometimes we can feel gutted that we're not loved in the way that we would like to be loved. Now, stomach meridian starts under the center of your eye. If you feel in your eye socket, there's a little groove. So that's stomach one. So stomach meridian goes up on your face here, over your breast, all down the front of your belly, and all down the front of your quads, right down to your second toe. So you could get pain in your legs, could affect your knees. Good morning, Margaret. Good morning, Susanna. Okay, so let's go with our second chakra now. So this is about our sexuality and balancing money, sex, and power. All right, I deserve pleasure. So that can be difficult when you've grown up with people that are maybe not always making you feel safe, or if this love and abuse is intertwined, it's hard to feel that you're going to be loved in the way that you would like to be loved. All right. Healing occurs every time I rest, relax, and allow myself enjoyment. So is there a time that's stuck when we talk about these things from your childhood? Does your inner child need you to acknowledge what they didn't get to do or what they would like to do? Can you do something that your inner child would like? Can you do it together? All right, so now the eighth chakra comes up. So that means we need some grounding. We need to connect to the earth. So an oil called Balance comes up. So Balance is a beautiful oil. It smells delicious. And it's great to help us ground or to help us feel that we can be connected to the earth and that we can release the things that have been uncomfortable into the earth. I interviewed a lady years ago called Lorna Patton, and she would say, go outside and tell the dirt your problems. All right, balance is especially suited for personalities who seek to escape from life through disconnection or disassociation. These individuals may avoid long-term commitments in work or relationships, preferring instead to drift. This blend reminds individuals that to realize their true dreams and desires, they must stay focused on a goal until it is actualized in the physical world. Balance teaches true perseverance by assisting in staying present with a specific plan or idea until it is embodied, providing inner strength and fortitude. Balance teaches all to ground their energy and to manifest their vision with the patience of a tree. So I guess, we have these areas of our body that's telling us where the energy is stuck. So it's like persisting on releasing what's hiding in there. All right, so persevering is the thing, to not give up on the things that are showing up, to keep working through them. All right, we're going to jump up into the 10th chakra now. Excuse me. Okay. So this is about how we connect to the sun, and also as we connect to all the parts, the good, the bad, and the ugly of our life. All right, so Janet says, still have huge commitments, younger grandchildren I enjoy, however, hard to find more time to care for myself as they're going through huge issues. So it's tricky to balance at present. Yes, I'm sure it is. And sometimes you could do your inner child work with the grandchildren, isn't it? Suggest fun things that you missed out on that you could do with them. And grandchildren very much help you to be in the present moment, isn't it? You can't be somewhere else. You have to be right here and now. All right, so let's say I'm worthy of my own time and effort. And it is hard to know what the balance is between giving of yourself and keeping a little in reserve for yourself. And when we've grown up in households where it hasn't been ideal, there's been conflict or abuse or difficulties, then the line between service and abuse is hard to feel. So sometimes when it's been a bit too much, we might have to back off a little, because it's no good running ourselves into the ground, then we can't help anybody. So it's like, this balancing act between service and abuse. All right, so we want to talk a little bit more about abandonment. All right, I let go of their feeling that I will miss out on experiencing something. So I have feelings like that sometimes. There's things that I would have liked to have enjoyed with my family that I won't enjoy. But there are other things that I have enjoyed that maybe other people didn't get. So it's like we all get different opportunities. So for people who are adopted, abandonment is a big issue, and abandonment can be Well, it can be from when the person is conceived. Sometimes conception wasn't ideal. Sometimes it's implantation, or, if you had a vanished twin, maybe the other one didn't implant, or sometimes it's when, you find out that you're pregnant, and some people got to know yes, and some people got to, oh no. So releasing this oh no in our life that we weren't wanted. And of course, the most comforting thing for a baby in utero is to hear their mother's heartbeat. And of course, once they're born, if they're going to be adopted, they are taken away from their mother. So that's a huge loss. So times of abandonment in your life, age 7, age 12, 33, 53. Okay. All right. And let's say I no longer abandon myself, because this is what happens in this situation. So we feel this obligation to keep other people happy. And that's learnt behavior from childhood, because if we didn't keep our parents happy, we wouldn't be taken care of, and, we would be out in the street. So it's like we had to do whatever it took to be taken care of. All right. So the value of trust. So trust is a hard thing when your trust has been broken, and we can't just give people full trust back. It's like they have to earn it, brick by brick. All right. To trust ourselves, our true selves, is to see the difference between our divine nature and our ego. We are not our myriad of thoughts telling us that we are ugly and incapable and that the world is scary and unfriendly. We are the observer of those thoughts. Trust more in the observer and not the ego. The world is our mirror, and the lens of trust will change our experience. Because often it's like we don't always see the good things. We might be trained to see the bad things, or the things that are dangerous, because of the situation that we've grown up as children. So we look for the bad. All right, I have confidence in the goodness and mercy of those around me. So this has got a generational component to it. So dad's side, dad's mum, and the women. So 23 generations of women. So if you're adopted, this is when we're doing the generational work, it's always blood. It's like the generational baggage that has come down through your genes. All right. I trust my body's ability to return to full health. All right. Age 6. So what happened when you were 6? What was your body telling you? Where was your body showing you the energy was stuck? All right. I trust in the power of forgiveness. So forgiveness it can be an ongoing process. It's like sometimes people have hurt us or offended us or wounded us or abused us. And it's like being able to see past what happened and seeing that it's not a measurement of us is very hard for some people. So it's like seeing that the person that made the mistake often had abuse themselves, or they had things happen to them in which they had no control. And so they have not chosen good ways to use their power. So, releasing what's stuck in your body and also being able to forgive the other person, knowing that they too had experiences that were unprocessed. All right, I trust those who have made mistakes in the past and give them a second chance. Now, that does not mean that you allow yourself to be abused. That does not mean that you condone any bad behaviors. Even if in your head you can come to peace and you can forgive them, it doesn't mean that there's an open slather for them to come in again and continue to abuse you. That's not what we mean. So, my friend Kim Redmond, she would explain it like when we have an interaction with someone, it's like we put this big rope around them and around us. And it's like every step we take, we're bringing this person with us. And so it's like forgiveness is about cutting the ropes. It's like, I don't need to be tied to you anymore. I'm not condoning what you did. I don't like what you did, but forgiveness is about me cutting those ropes and not being attached to you anymore. All right, still something stuck in our mind. All right, I easily see the lessons that to be learnt from my challenges. So, if you think about some of those awful difficulties that you've gone through, what have you learnt? And is it something you couldn't have learned any other way? All right, so some generational baggage attached to this learning from mum's side and her mum and the women down that side. 23 generations of women. So these are deep patterns. So when we have generational baggage, you're the chain breaker and you're the person that has come to make a difference. And the people that went before were willing to deal with the same problems, and they're grateful to you that you are the person that is willing to do something about it, change the pattern. All right, I'm able to calmly and peacefully adjust my course to achieve my mission in life. So sometimes the death of a loved one or the death of a marriage or a relationship or, a job opportunity. Jackie says, that doesn't seem I have learnt much. I think you've learnt a lot, Jackie. Sometimes we're just in survival mode, and survival is as much as you can do when you've been through some very difficult situations. And You know, I know you've been through some life-threatening situations, so it is hard to get into that rest and digest mode, getting out of the fight and flight, because while we're still feeling attacked or unsafe or that we are unable to protect ourselves, it is hard to learn, and that's not because you're incapable, it's because of the situation that you're in. All right, even when facing my biggest fears, I'm able to keep moving forward. All right, so um, the belief that you're not learning also has got a generational component from your birth dad. and the women on that side of the family, like 17 generations of women. Right. So even though you may feel that you're not making a difference, you are making a difference, and all the work that you have done has made a huge difference to your family and your children. And even though our children may not choose what we feel is good for them, that's their life and that's their journey and the way that they have to learn. And we can attach blame to ourselves, but that's not going to be very productive and it's not going to help them. So I too can fall in that same hole, but it's like sometimes we have to look at, well, what they need to have their own experiences to understand and own their own lessons. She said, my mum and grandmother both worried about what others thought. Yes, which is very disempowering because it's like we're not doing things for the right reasons. We're doing things to be accepted or to be admired. All right, I acknowledge my achievements thus far and feel enthusiasm to continue my upward journey. My weaknesses become my strengths. And other people's weaknesses too can sometimes be like the arrow of like, no, I don't want to go that way, or that doesn't sit right with me. I'm choosing to do it differently. So we're going back into the solar star chakra. That's the 10th chakra, which is about 2.5 to 3 meters above the crown chakra here. All right, so the emotions associated with this solar star chakra are contentment, satisfaction, feeling balanced and whole. So it's hard to not see ourselves in the light that other people have talked to us. It's like we believe their view of us, but their view of us is tainted by their own childhood and what's happened to them. So that's not necessarily the truth of who we are. So the only person really that knows the truth of who we are is the Savior, because he's felt all our pain and he knows the way through. So it's like we might have to ask, this person sees me this way. Is that really the truth? And often it isn't. All right, so what's coming up here is impulsive behaviors and decisions. And sometimes we can just suddenly decide to do something. Sometimes it's for a good reason. There was a story about a man who was in, I'm thinking Sweden. I'm not sure, it could be Denmark. But he suddenly had the feeling he needed to go and pick up a light bulb, and his wife was about to serve dinner, so he normally wouldn't do that because she wouldn't like that. But as he was cycling towards the shop, he saw a little child walk to the edge of the lake and suddenly disappear. So he was able to jump off his bike and find this child. And if he hadn't have gone at that moment that he was inspired to go, that child would have drowned. So sometimes we're inspired to do things that don't seem like there's a reason at that moment, But later we can find out that there was a reason and that we were inspired to take that action. And even though people might criticize us, it's like if we feel strongly about something, we need to do it. Right. So this chakra is weakened by always striving. And there's nothing wrong with striving, but it's like there's also got to be time, if you've climbed a mountain, that you turn around and you look, oh, look how far I've come up the mountain. Because otherwise we always just keep looking about how far away is the top? I'm not there yet. I'm not being successful. So it's like being able to see how far we've come and how far we still have to go. All right, so there's an oil called Console. All right. When a storm is raging in one's heart or mind, so this is from Essential Emotions. When a storm is raging in one's heart or mind, or when there is no relief from fear, emotional pain, or anxious feelings, Console can assist individuals in taking the first steps toward healing. It encourages individuals to seek divine intervention so they may experience the ever-present mantle of warmth, love, and consolation. Console helps ease burdens, assists in experiencing a serene heart and mind, and guides individuals towards emotional rest. So you might use this oil to help you feel more restful. If you're in your head a lot and you're anxious and your thoughts are racing, you might have to use this oil to just comfort yourself and to calm. Excuse me. So sometimes we feel that life could be different. Maybe we stuffed her that we could have done this better or that better. I think we all have moments like that. But we also have to see that God can make good out of anything. Even our worst days, He can bring in something important or something valuable that we may have not been able to see otherwise. All right, affirmation: I exist and rejoice. All right, so now we're going to say, I'm able to cope with death. So this has got a generational component. Dad's side, dad's mum, and the women on that side of the family. So 16 generations of women. Okay, so feeling blocked. So sometimes it's very hard to get past what happened, the loss of a person, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a job, the loss of part of our body. All right. So we've chosen to come to the earth at this time for the qualities we would develop through the family we've been born into. Some families provide huge amount of love. Other families have merely provided a body for our spirit to dwell in and not much more. I feel strongly that we've helped the previous generations before we were born. They now help us. There can be many patterns of weakness within the family tree that may not be present in every generation. Each member of the family provides different qualities and challenges. We usually want the good qualities and not the bad. However, our weaknesses and failings are there for us to use as practical life skill lessons. So, other family members' weaknesses are also there to keep the family balanced. As children in my family, the next brother and I fought all the time. Mum called us Bully and Whinger. I was Whinger. At the same time, I didn't enjoy it, but I can see that it taught me resilience. So we now get on fine. So the qualities that we may not like in other family members are the ones necessary for us to develop personal strength. All right, I accept that I chose my family. Sometimes that's hard to accept. Sometimes we want to kill them. All right, I accept my past. I accept that things didn't go smoothly, that I've endured abuse, that I've endured deprivation and hard things, and not being loved in the way that I would like to be loved or choose to be loved. All right, so Jackie's saying my mind is on a negative flow at the moment, where before I had more positivity. All right, so this negativity is hereditary negativity, which comes from your birth mum. So you're seeing this as your weakness. Let's see it as the opportunity to change this generational pattern that's not nice. So, even though your birth mum may not have expected to have you, you have still made a difference in the world, and you have done the best that you know how with the difficult circumstances that you've had. And you've tried very hard to help the people around you, even when they won't help themselves. So you cannot take responsibility for the people that won't help themselves. You can encourage, you can support, you can have your pom-poms out, but you can't make people do things. Right, so the difficulty of being positive comes from your birth dad's mum's side of the family and the women. 23 generations of women. All right, so I want you to think about all these people that they love you and they care for you and they know how you feel and they want to help you. All right, so let's say I'm no longer judging myself on my life circumstances. Right, so let's go into the crown chakra. All right, sometimes this is the affirmation, I just don't want to deal with it. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just have to say, I'm going to give myself a little break. I'm going to come back to this. I'm not ready right now to deal with it. And you could use it to give yourself a little break. Doesn't mean we're going to forever not deal with it, but it's like right at this moment, I'm not ready. So it's okay to withdraw from what you can't deal with. All right, my heart is open and flowing. All right, so we're back to your dad's mum. This is a hereditary pattern from her. So close itself down. Again, this is from the women on that side of your family. 73 generations of women past your dad's mum. So this is a very strong pattern. So it's like it's not, it feels very heavy. It feels hard to change because it's like so many people have been stuck in this. Okay, big breath in. All right. So sometimes we have to learn that we can't change other people, that we have to allow them to be how they are. And that is also not a measurement of us. Right, so let's go into our aura. So sometimes people can latch onto us in an unhealthy way. So you can think about like high maintenance friends. All right, so Elizabeth says, I'm never good enough for some people. Yeah, but remember, we talk about that if someone points at you, you can say, okay, I'll take a quarter, but the other three quarters is yours. So this means that the person that's telling you you're not good enough doesn't feel good enough themselves. So every time they point at you, you've got to understand that they're showing you their weaknesses. All right, so a male that's latching onto you, that's, unhooking onto you in an unhealthy way. All right, so it's almost like people mistakenly believe that they can get their energy from you, but really the energy has to come from God or from the source. So it's like we're unhooking them from us and giving them back to God, because it's like it's not healthy for you to allow people to suck you dry, and it's not good for them to try and suck energy from you. They need to learn to get their energy from the source, just like we do. All right, so still in the crown chakra. All right, I work by trusting my intuition. So sometimes it's hard to get between, ego and intuition, because the ego wants to stop us from following our heart. It doesn't want us to listen to the divine inspiration that we receive. So it wants to tell us, people are watching, you're not doing a good enough job. It's like it's not a healthy way. So it's like learning to discern between what is a good, uplifting spiritual feeling and what is your ego doing to try and bring you down, so that you don't trust your heart. Because when you trust your heart and you listen to the inspiration that you receive, the ego's out of a job. So the ego's panicking, and she doesn't want you to follow your heart. So it's like recognizing when your ego is trying to dig in. Right. So I'm worthy of divine love and protection. So there is nothing you can ever do, not do, have done that would prevent God from loving you. Nothing. Like is no matter what you've done, the Savior understands. He's paid the price already. He wants to hold your hand and bring you through, whatever it is. So you might also use vetiver oil to do that, because vetiver oil's job is to hold your hand and bring you through. So use vetiver to get through these unhealthy situations that are stuck in your head. All right. I feel whole regardless of my circumstances. So sometimes if you you see some people that have very difficult circumstances, but they always choose to be happy. So it's like, I find that hard. So it's like, you are a gift. You're here at exactly the right time on the earth. There's no mistakes about it. And whatever you feel and the things that you're inspired to do are important. And so recognizing that and no longer having other people's view of you running your life. All right, so let's say I forgive myself that my marriage didn't work. All right, so this is generational from your dad's side of the family. And the women, like a lot of women, 93 generations of women past your dad's dad. All right, I allow myself to be led by God. So often we're led in the right way, and even though it might feel really scary and we don't feel like we're coping very well, we have to trust that the path is there for a reason. All right, I work by trusting my intuition. And I think it always has to come back to that. Does this feel right? It's not my ego. This is what I feel that I need to do. So you need to do it. All right, I'm safe. So age 5, not feeling safe. Age 12. Age 20. Age 26. Age 32. Age 40. All right, and Jackie says adopted brother, and the oil I mentioned was vetiver, Vetiver. It's a very earthy oil. It comes from Haiti. It's the root of this really tough grass, and it takes 18 months to grow to be good enough to make this oil. And the root looks like the dendrite tree of the brain, so it's good for the brain. If you don't have it, I can make you a roller and send you one if you want. All right. All right, so you forgive your adopted brother, but you don't forgive yourself that you had an adopted brother, and you're also not forgiving your parents that they adopted him. They didn't know he was going to be dynamite, did they? All right, so trusting my intuition, there's a generational component of that from your birth dad. Just him. All right, I'm connected to my earth family and my heavenly family. So I'm forgiving my earth family for not being all that I wanted or needed them to be. So I forgive the people in my life that have died or have left me. Time of conception. So for some people, this is about a vanished twin. So there was more than one when they were born. And when something goes wrong in utero, there's no one you can call or tell. And so it's like for some people, before they saw birth, they saw death. So releasing trauma from losing people that we love. All right, another oil. All right, Niaouli. I'm not sure exactly how you say that. So Niaouli, which is about perceived threat. All right, so Niaouli is an excellent ally in working with the ego. It teaches that challenges to an individual's self-construct reveal the work they have yet to do. This oil cuts through the justification for their combative choices and preemptive strikes against others. It helps individuals resist the impulse to make others wrong. It reveals that the true cause of defensiveness is a sense of powerlessness that can be addressed and healed. Niaouli reveals the false boundaries individuals have set for others in order to feel safe. This oil's message is that emotional safety comes not from contending with the outside world, but from clearing out the toxicity and discord within themselves. All right, and then we might use thyme oil to go with that. So thyme being THYME, which is about releasing and forgiving. Thyme is one of the most powerful cleansers of the emotional body and assists in addressing trapped feelings which have been buried for a long time. It reaches deep within the body and soul, searching for unresolved negativity. Thyme brings to the surface old, stagnant feelings. It is particularly helpful in treating the toxic emotions of hate, rage, anger, and resentment, which cause the heart to close. All right, thyme empties the soul of negativity, leaving the heart wide open. In this state of openness, individuals begin to feel tolerance and patience for others. As the heart opens more and more, it is able to receive love and offer forgiveness. Thyme teaches that it's time to let go and move forward. As individuals forgive, they free themselves from emotional bondage. Thyme transforms hate and anger into love and forgiveness. All right, so Jackie said, yes, please. Okay. Well, we can make a blend with a few of those, I think. All righty. Okay, so let's check in. How are we feeling? How are the parts that are complaining feeling? How's your back? How's your hip? And Elizabeth, how's your asthma? Okay. Anyway, if you still have feelings that you're struggling to work through, happy to, do a phone call with you or in person with you to help, clear more things that are hiding there. And some things are deep and they take a long time to work on. It's not just something that's going to be fixed in 5 minutes. But, it's worth persevering, and you are worth persevering with yourself and what you feel. And you're worth everything. You're here for a reason. Margaret says, thank you, Tanya. Have a nice day. Thank you. Still sore, but I'm sitting, so a walk can be good. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for those that jumped on the call. Let me know if it's still not okay. I'm happy to do a session over the phone. All right. Thank you for being you. Thank you for the example that you set to other people and for the endurance and, what you've survived and the losses that you've worked through. It is hard. We never stop missing the people that died or the things that went wrong. It is hard to walk past that. Anyway, sending you big love. Okay, bye.